What kind of Asian are you? No, seriously, what kind of Asian are you? As an armchair sociologist, I've observed something very, very interesting in the Chinese diaspora in Canada. I want to talk about it. The type of Chinese person you are depends on when you came to Canada. The first category is the very first Chinese people to come to Canada to help build the Pacific Railway, which despite all the labor that the Chinese people put in, they still erased every single Chinese person in the final historical photo. But that is for another time. Friends of mine who are third, fourth, fifth generation Canadian ethnically look Chinese, but them and their parents and maybe even their grandparents don't speak Mandarin or whatever Chinese dialect that their family immigrated from because they've been in Canada for a long time. The Chinese people that came over during this time is a relatively small amount of people compared to the next group of Chinese people I'm going to talk about. The next group obviously being the Chinese people and the Asian people that came over during the late 1900s to early 2000s. I am part of this group. A lot of the Asian immigrants that came over during this period are coming over based on the points system. At this time, it was relatively very easy to come over compared to previous times because of course China had the Chinese head tax, which I'm not going to get into today. This is the period where we see tons of Chinese restaurants popping up, Chinese businesses, explosions of Chinatown. Most Chinese people that came over during this time still wanted to feel like home. I also saw a TikTok that said that like once this generation retires, we're gonna see a drastic dwindling of Chinese restaurants because a lot of their kids don't want to take over that family business, which makes me sad. So go support your local Chinese restaurant. The parents are very tied to their Chinese culture and Chinese language, but their kids may not be. Their kids may not actually speak Chinese that well. They might speak English better and a lot of identity issues there. But that's kind of like the gist of what these kind of Chinese people are based on this period that they immigrated. Now, this last wave of immigrants, I would consider this the third wave, is the nouveau riche of China. After, the early 2000s, Canada tightened up their immigration regulations. The new wave of people immigrating to Canada are the wealthy ones. Not exactly like this kind of wealth. I'm just showing you like a more extreme example, but these Chinese people are not like the Chinese people from the past two waves that I showed you. They did not come with proverbial nothing but the skin on their backs. They came with a lot of money already. These people made their money when China had their massive economic boom and they're looking to leave China. They do not have the same mindset as the old Chinese people because they know a China that is prosperous, that is wealthy. I'm making a generalization here. There's obviously exceptions, but a lot of times these Chinese people just like to keep within themselves because essentially their wealth insulates them. They don't really care to assimilate into Canadian culture because they don't need to. They're obviously not all of them stay in Canada. Like a lot of them are just foreign international students. And I'm speaking on Canada, but I'm sure this is a very similar trend in America as well. Those are just my observations. Obviously, I'm making broad generalizations, but as my experience as a Chinese person moving through Canada, this is the kinds of Chinese people I stumble upon. I always find it so curious because we are not a monolith. The more you know.